Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session today on why they don't listen, uncovering hidden causes of disrespect. Again, like the other topics we covered in this series, this has to do with teachers coping with stressful students or difficult to handle students. And one of those that many teachers usually encounter as a challenge is dealing with disrespectful students. Students who come to our classroom and they don't seem to know what it means to be kind, caring, courteous, respectful. When we were younger, maybe this was not as a serious problem. But more and more, especially because of the digital lifestyle many young people grew up with, they come to our classroom, and respect and responsibility are two of the most important virtues that they need to learn from us inside the classroom. And then you have students who seem to be trying to push the envelope, trying to see how far they can go with teachers. And so it's good to know in the first place what are the hidden causes of disrespect so that we are able to address them. This is the outline for our session today. I'm going to talk about the symptoms of disrespect, how to spot disrespect from students inside the classroom. And then we will talk about some common misinterpretations. Maybe it's not because of disrespect, maybe because of something else. And that's what we're going to look into. What are those common misinterpretations? And then behind the disrespectful stance, attitude, behavior of a student, that are six hidden roots that we will look at. And then I'm going to share with you five teacher shifts that make students listen. Number five, what if it continues to be difficult? What do we do when it's still hard? And then finally, I'm going to give you some, well, toolkit and a sort of commitment that we will have to make to continue on teaching to the best that we can in spite of these kinds of students that we may have inside our classroom. And then finally, a few quotations for us to think about that will help us forge ahead despite the difficulties. So let's take a look at the symptoms of disrespect. I'm sure you all have seen students, had students inside the classroom who many times, even if you tell them to keep quiet, they will not. They will continue talking. You call the attention of a student once, twice, three times, and you start feeling that, wow, this guy does not respect me, does not follow what I tell him to do, what I tell her to do. Or even worse, if it is two students who maybe throughout the first part of your class, you see them whispering to each other. You look at them, they don't stop. You call their attention, they continue. As soon as you turn your back, they continue talking. And then you feel like these guys are disrespecting me. So let us take a look at those symptoms. But it's not just talking out of turns, not following instruction. Here are really the common symptoms. Eye rolls. You've seen students like that. You tell a student, John, keep quiet. And then John rolls his eyes like that. And you feel hurt. I mean, sometimes you feel insulted. You feel like, what on earth is this guy doing? How dare him roll his eyes like that on me? Well, maybe some of them really have, maybe they have it because they do that at home. They do it to their parents. So take heart, it's not you. It's not just you. They may actually have developed the habit because that's what they do with their friends, with their parents, with the adults at home, with other people. Another common symptom, of course, is back talk. You tell a student, John, keep quiet. And then John starts mumbling. So many people here are talking, and I'm the only one he's calling. And then they feel like you are picking on them. Back talk. And in fact, sometimes you hear the classmates saying, John, quiet, don't talk, don't answer back. Because the others know that it is not appropriate, it is not respectful to do that. Or, as I said earlier, ignoring directions, you tell the two students, stop talking, keep quiet, eyes here on the board, listen, sit up straight. And they continue talking. As soon as you turn your back, they slouch, this, I'm sure you have all seen in one student or another. Some more sarcasm or mockery. You say something, you crack a joke, and then they say something sarcastic or like as if mocking your joke, saying something like corny, like that. And again, you can actually feel insulted because you feel that's disrespectful of the student, or walking out or shutting down. So I'm sure all of you, even those who just started teaching this year in this last 3 or 4 months inside the classroom, chances are you have seen these kinds of actions, which we, well, really interpret as disrespect. Okay, try to think what form of student disrespect triggers you the most and why? All of us will have different answers. Some of us feel hurt, especially when we see students rolling their eyes. Some will feel more hurt or feel disrespected when students answer back or, well, make comments that are hurtful, mocking us. So, uh, these are the symptoms, but we have to know how to interpret them because not all of them may actually mean outright disrespect. As I said, maybe some of them see the rolling their eyes as just a like a natural reaction many times. Maybe while watching a K-drama, watching a movie, they also do it. They roll their eyes like that. So it's not out of disrespect, it's out of sheer habit or this thing of um, not following instructions. Um, Maybe it's not, again, out of disrespect. Maybe they just didn't understand your instruction. They did not understand what you meant by etc. So there may be other possible explanations for why they do what they do, why those disrespectful acts for them may not actually be an act of disrespect. So here, sometimes we interpret silence as defiance. Like we ask a student a question that we think is very easy to answer. They don't answer. And some of us might think this guy is defying me. What a disrespect. Ignoring my question. Well, maybe they are traumatized by something. Maybe They are really seriously, genuinely afraid of making a mistake, of that whatever they answer may be laughed at, made fun of by the others. And so they would just keep quiet. Silence may not necessarily be all the time an act of defiance, of disrespectful defiance. There may be real, serious um, psychological reason behind that silence. Or when a student laughs and the teacher says, "What are you laughing at? Are you mocking me? Are you making fun of me?" No. Some students, some people, some human beings for that matter, laughter is their anxiety response when they are anxious, when they are unsure, when they just really seriously don't know how to react to certain situations, they laugh, they giggle. And that is not to mock you or to mock us or to mock the teacher. It may be their anxiety response or the eye rollings like that. Some of us interpret it as rebelliousness, rebellion, or outright disrespect. Not necessarily. Maybe they are actually seeking attention or power. And that is their way of catching attention. We really don't know. We cannot tell unless we talk to the student, unless we get to know the student better. Or disengagement, like that. Many times teachers experience this. They ask a question. Anyone can answer? No answer. No one will raise his hand or her hand. And some of us might think these guys are all lazy. These guys are disengaged. What a disrespect. I feel like nobody is listening. Nobody's paying attention. Wait, uh, maybe they really are just shy, ashamed to reply, to respond, to raise their hand. Um, or maybe it's helplessness. Maybe they really don't know the answer. What is wrong is when the teacher asks a question and then after waiting for only 2 or 3 seconds, they give up. They give the answer anyway. Wait, we are told, wait, give them time. Some just need a bit more time to think. Now, when I was a student, I remember until high school, when the teacher would call me to recite, I would tremble. I would um, be so nervous, I could feel my knees shaking. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. I just had a terrible fear of making mistakes in front of the class, making a fool of myself. That's why when I would be called to recite, I would tremble in fear. And there are people who are like that. They It's not out of disrespect that they don't want to raise their hand, they don't want to answer, they don't want to participate, they don't want to recite. They really truly just are afraid, shy. Some people are really like that. No? So here is a very important key quotation to keep in mind. The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways. That is something we need to think about. The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways. Sometimes we really call them awkward. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to act, how to react. And from our point of view, it may look like they are being disrespectful, but they are not. They just don't know how to express that help, that call for help. that they really actually in the end are saying, "Sir, I really don't know. Please help me." Okay, here are six hidden roots of disrespect according to experts. Number one, a person may look disrespectful because of some unmet emotional needs. They may be acting disrespectful because they don't feel they belong. In fact, that is what happens to a student, let's say a new student who transfers to another school and then is in the middle of a classroom full of strangers because the other people there may know each other, but he does not know them because he's a new student. They don't feel they belong. And so don't expect him, for example, to immediately be participative, answering with confidence. They have a certain unmet emotional need that first they need to feel they belong, trusted, and feel safe. Then they will carry themselves as we would expect them to behave um, if these emotional needs are met. We go to the next. And this is also another hidden root of disrespect. Negative adult modeling. It's possible, really, that the student is only copying what they have seen from the teacher or from their parents or from the adults in their life. Adults who resort to sarcasm, to yelling, to humiliating, and then they carry it with them. They bring it with them because that's what they see in their quote unquote role models. Marvin Berkowitz said, "There is no on and off switch to character formation. As soon as you put an adult in front of young people, character education starts happening because young people especially tend to imitate, to copy what the adults do." So I have to correct what Marvin Berkowitz says. As soon as you put an adult in front of young people, character education or miseducation starts happening because of that tendency to imitate. They will imitate the good and the bad. And so you may actually have a seemingly disrespectful student, not by his own fault, but because he is just copying what he has seen from the adults. Here's another one: identity crisis or shame. There are students who really know, there are students who really know that they are not as smart as their classmates, as not capable as their other classmates, or even as not wanted as their other classmates. So they act out to protect their ego. And then disrespect comes out. That it's not the fault of the student, that he is still looking for his identity, or that he is grappling with shame, embarrassment, or insecurities. That can also be a cause of disrespect. Another root cause of disrespect is this mismatch in power dynamics. Of course, the students feel helpless when they are inside the classroom. They know they have to follow rules. They know how they have to comply with all the things that the teachers want them to do. And then the struggle to, no, you cannot make me. That can be a root cause of the disrespect that we see inside the classroom. Here's another one: cultural or generational misunderstandings. Students may actually misinterpret rules or feedback. They may see rules or feedback in another way. That is when misunderstanding happens, and disrespect may start coming from there. But let's face it, sometimes we teachers come inside our classroom and we are not at our best. We may be burned out, tired, exhausted, exasperated, and our patience may be shorter than usual. Then, whatever the students may do, we can misinterpret as disrespect, whatever actions they resort to. And we ourselves can actually be inconsistent about the way we react, respond to situations. And so that's where the disrespect can be coming from. They respond to unclear expectations, emotional inconsistency, or lack of follow through. So let me now share with you 5 teacher shifts that will make the students listen, even if, from our point of view, they may be disrespectful. Here are 5 effective strategies. The first is from control to connection. Um, I think it was in yesterday's session where we talked about um, we are not there to win a struggle, a fight, a battle. While we describe the classroom as a war zone, but the objective is not to win the war, to win the battle, but rather to build relationships from control to connection. Our idea, our objective should be to be able to build relationships so that we will be able to get the students to do what we want them to do without having to resort to shouting, screaming, yelling, but because they want to follow the teacher. They see the teacher as a role model. They see the teacher as someone who is really genuinely interested in their good, informing them. That can only happen if there is a relationship. Otherwise, if we don't connect, if we don't have that personal relationship with the students, then they will really see us as somebody who really just wants to enforce the law, enforce rules. It's all about rules. From control to connection, we will stand a better chance of getting respect from our students. Um, one of the experts, Hal Urban, would say, for education to be effective, it must be personal, that the students don't see themselves merely as class numbers inside the room, but that they see themselves as students being formed by the teacher who has concern for their growth, for their improvement. Here's a second strategy: from shouting to silent signals. Let us make use of silent signals, tone, posture, proximity, eye contact, to be able to get the students following what we want them to do. In other words, discipline. They are not going to respect us if they know that we are that kind of teacher who resorts to shouting, screaming, yelling, insulting, hurting, harming. Respect begets respect. And if the teacher does not show a dint of respect to the students because of the strategies he uses inside the classroom of yelling, shouting, then we will not be able to get that respect that we want from them. So, uh, I'm sure you've seen master teachers coming inside the classroom, and without saying anything, the students follow. The students will keep quiet, pay attention, go back to their seats, even without a word from the teacher. An ineffective teacher, on the other hand, will have to resort to shouting, screaming, yelling. That's the only way that he or she is able to make the students do what she wants them to do by resorting to shouting. Let us learn those silent signals. The stare, just looking at the class in a way that says, come on, I expect best behavior from you. It takes time to develop that, but it works. And it's just simply the most effective way, especially if we are to get the respect of our students. Here's number three: from blame to curiosity. Don't just, John, sit down. How many times they have to tell you, why are you so disrespectful? Wait a minute. He's not being disrespectful. He is just not sitting down. Um, you're immediately accusing, blaming John. Instead, you ask if, for example, you see John and Joey repeatedly talking because uh, I mean, despite the reminders, John and Joey, come on, stop talking. But they continue talking. Instead of blaming that they don't have discipline, that they are disrespecting you, that they don't really know how to follow the rules inside the classroom. Maybe there is something urgent they need to talk about. Curiosity. John, Joey, you've been talking. Is there any problem? Is there anything I can help you in? Um, um, is there anything that we need to discuss very urgently? None? Okay, very good. Then let's get on with the class. Pay attention. There, it's not about immediately accusing John and Joey to be undisciplined, unruly, disrespectful, no self control. Those are all accusations, blaming. Instead, the curiosity to know, there must be a reason why they cannot wait until the end of the period to talk. Number four, from calling out to calling in. We talked about this yesterday when we made mention of the um, getting the student to stay on a chair, um, to get away from the class, not to get out of the classroom, but just to get out of the discussion. But at the same time, they're still there inside the classroom. So you give them a chair at the back to either think about the consequence of his action or what he needs done to be able to get back to the activity. Handle issues privately with respect. Calling out is singling out someone and practically um, like reprimanding him in public. Calling in, on the other hand, is giving the person a chance to return to the flow of the class, to return to the activities without having to immediately punish, because being sent out is a punishment. Being called out and sent outside of the classroom to be separated from the class is a punishment. But calling in to get him to reflect, to think, and to um, how do you call that? Like rectify, to correct his action. That's calling in. And then to handle it with a lot of respect, not to shout at the student, um, and even say things like, how many times do you have to tell you? Why are you such a problematic student? Why do you not have discipline? Those are all, well, related to number three, um, blaming, accusing. Finally, number five, from punishing. let's go for restoring, using restorative practices to repair, not just to reprimand. When we hear or we see a student doing an act of disrespect, so we will have to change our line. Uh, we don't say, "You're always so disrespectful." That is like accusation. Instead, we say things like, "Well, okay, that felt disrespectful to me. Can we talk about what's really going on?" You are trying to restore, well, the respect as how things should go inside the classroom. And that's very important because students never want to be accused, especially so if they really do not intend to disrespect. It's just that they are not able to do what we want them to do. But yes, I understand it can continue to be difficult. I mean, it's never easy to be dealing with disrespect inside the classroom. And we need to address these challenges. For example, true, teachers can actually say, "Let me sit and toy. I'm tired. I've been so patient with them. I cannot take anymore their disrespect." Yeah, that's sounds true. Or some teachers would say, "Mr. Rentoy, if only you know our students, they are really rude. They lack discipline. They don't have self-control." Yes, I can almost imagine many of us say that when we have to deal with disrespectful students. Or yes, some of you can even actually say, I'm already doing my best. And it seems my best is not good enough. So really, I have the right to shout, to scream, to yell, to give a long sermon to them about the need to be respectful. We need to address this. These are common objections that we teachers can actually do. Here instead are what we really need to do. First, well, affirmations. We can set boundaries and lead with empathy. Now, experts say empathy is one of those virtues that really suffered a great deal because of the digital lifestyle of this generation of young people. Remember, these are kids who cannot imagine a world without high speed internet, without a cell phone, without their own gadget, without their own laptop, tablet. So their digital lifestyle, right, where they spend inordinate amount of time in front of the screen, whether it's the screen of the cell phone, the screen of the tablet, the screen of the computer, the screen of the television. And you have kids who can actually be spending all their free time in front of the screen, not with other human beings, which is the only way to learn empathy, dealing with other humans. And therefore, you have kids coming inside their classroom and they do not develop empathy. That's a very important factor or reality to consider in our formation of students. We have to lead with empathy because we need to teach them empathy. Respect is taught through example, not fear. I repeat, respect is taught through example, not fear. You cannot demand it from the students. Class, I deserve respect. No. um, they will tend to respect those that they deem um, deserving of that respect. And we become deserving of it if we ourselves model it. Healing happens in the relationship, not through revenge. So the next time we are dealing with a disrespectful student or bunch of disrespectful students, remember, we are not after being able to have our revenge. But they disrespected me. I have to show them who's the boss. Healing happens in the relationship, not through revenge. So this is the reason why we need to commit ourselves to this idea. I have to uh, accept the fact that this is one of the toughest parts of being a teacher, because we're not dealing with machines. We're dealing with human beings capable of choosing the worst decisions, making the worst decisions, choosing the wrong choices in life. But that's why they come to school. They're not just after learning math, science, English, Filipino, social studies. They really need to learn how to survive in life. And respect is one of the most important virtues they need to learn inside our classroom if they are to be successful in life. I need us to think about this. Think of a student you label as disrespectful. Some of you may be thinking of a number of them. Maybe you don't even know where to start because there are just so many of them in your class. Some of you may just be thinking of one or two. Well, congratulations. That's a fantastic experience inside the classroom. But there are there are students that we can think or label as disrespectful. Now, what if instead you saw them as a learner who has not yet learned how to relate with the respect? They are just learning. They're just on their way. They are just finding their way. And you may be the key to their finding, well, the ideal person they can be and they should be. Imagine the responsibility we have towards them. So, to close, I want us to reflect on this quotation and maybe to make resolutions on how, therefore, should we face the circumstances, situations of disrespect inside our classroom. Behavior is not the kid, it's a clue. Okay. And um, teachers can experience this. They can develop certain biases against some students, not necessarily having favorites and those that they do not like, dislike students. But it can happen really that, you know, I've seen teachers coming inside their classroom, they look around and they see that John and Joey are absent and they think this is gonna be a great day today. I will not have to shout, scream. I will not have to get angry. I will not have to get upset because we have already labeled John and Joey because of their behavior as the difficult students. Well, okay, their behavior is not the kid, it's a clue. The moment we see the child as the problem, we lose the chance to help. That's from Dr. Stuart Shanker. The moment we see the child, the student, the boy, the girl as the problem, we lose the chance to help. I repeat what I said earlier. Students come inside our classroom precisely because they need to learn this very important life lessons, not just to pass a test, to pass a quiz, to pass a subject, to pass a year. They come inside our classroom at whatever grade level because they want us to light their candle. They don't want to be in the dark anymore. And finally, we rise by lifting others, even the ones who act like they don't want it. Because the fact is, um, they could have invented excuses not to come to school that day. They could have invented that they have diarrhea, headache. Um, they could have lied to their parents about this or that, but they come. They go inside their classroom because they know we have something to give them more than just subjects, more than just an academic learning. They know that they come inside our classroom because we're preparing them for the test of life, not just for the final exam in that subject or that other grade level. So that is our um, discussion today on why they don't listen, uncovering hidden causes of disrespect. You can now scan the QR code to claim your certificate, and we will also post in the chat box the link that you can click in order to claim the certificate. And with this, we end our session today. We hope to see you again in our other future seminars. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to close this